right, how can we get over jealousy, pettiness, etc.?
Jealousy, pettiness, etc. Straighten up, Eric. Because that was a fun sound. By sitting on it is what his first comment was. He said you have to know why you're having it to begin with. The jealousness, pettiness, all this kind of stuff is you saying, I'm going to choose to look at the external world and see what it has or she has or he has and see if it's better than mine. And he goes, it's completely fine to observe and to use that observation to help guide you where you want to be, but your guidance needs to come from within. As soon as you give your power and your energy over to the fact that that person is better than you and you can never have that, and this starts to create the jealousy twirl.
I'm also talking about all negative emotions that come from us, like resentment, for example.
He goes, oh, that's no small topic, Mom.
I know. Cram it into a nutshell.
First of all, it's hard to even do that topic, Mom, because then you're saying that there are emotions that are negative and that people don't want, and you're getting into the whole judgment scheme yourself. So bust you at your own game.
So there's no wrong emotion? Is that what you're saying?
There is no wrong emotion. If you're feeling that it's wrong or that it's right, you're placing judgment on yourself. But no person has the right to place a judgment on somebody else. It all has to come from within. That's the deal.
Okay, deal. All right, so how do we get over? Well, we don't want to get over. Getting
hard,
over something implies that it's negative.
Yes.
So how do we discard something, an emotion that we don't want?
How do we discard an emotion that we don't want?
Just by focusing inward and not being externally directed.
He says once you've decided you've come across something that doesn't fit you anymore, it doesn't serve your direction, your passion, your connection anymore, you get rid of it by not giving it energy. You get rid of it by not entertaining that idea. It's a discipline. It's the sharpening of a pencil. You turn the crank, you shave the... How can you make that sound so nasty? Anyways, you discipline yourself into not focusing on that kind of emotion or action as an outcome or as a resource to fall back on. And he said it's a discipline. And many people find different ways to discipline themselves. Like some people use pen and paper, they put up notes, they put notes in their car, they find images that help them maintain the strength or who they want to be. Creative visualization. I have no idea what he just said. Oh, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know if you're right. The author who did creative visualization, creative visualization a long time ago, he goes like, think Shakti Gawain, Gawaina. What's her name? We'll figure it out later.
I don't know.
Shakti.
I'm not even sure I can pronounce that. All right, so basically, if I were very jealous of someone and I did not want to feel that way, and not that it's a negative emotion, but I don't want to feel that way, I might, for example, think in my mind of them being an old man or a tiny baby.
He goes, that's creative. He goes, if we're going to just talk about jealousy, you have to figure out why you're jealous in the first place, Mom. So give me an example. What are you jealous about?
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm not jealous of anybody, but say you're jealous of somebody because they have more money than you.
Okay, because of a money thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're attracted to that person because they have more money. So that means you actually like them, but you're jealous because they have it and you don't. Okay, well, that's just lazy bullshit. That means that you need to learn more about money so that you can strive to be similar to the person that you're jealous of.
Why are you saying I would like them? I'd like them just because they have money, or just because I'm putting the
Dude, Mom,
energy of it? If I didn't like them, I wouldn't even bother putting the
jealousy,
energy in.
jealousy only stems, every emotion stems from love, he's saying. But
Oh,
jealousy really comes from, I like that so much, I hate that you have it and I don't. Period. So if you're jealous of something, sit down and see what you actually like about that person, then strive for you to have it on your own.
okay.
Stand on your own 2 feet, he shouts.
All right. So the love aspect of jealousy, what would that be, for example?
The love aspect of jealousy. He goes, that's the whole see what you like about them.
Okay.
Whatever you're
Well,
jealous about is something that you actually want.
okay. All right. I don't think I have to love somebody to want what they want, though.
No, you
That's
don't
what's
love the
confusing.
person, Mom. You love the
What they
attributes
have.
or
Okay.
the money, the legs, the
Oh,
hair, the color of the eyes.
okay. Now, how do fear-based emotions affect our lives? That's another question.
How do fear based emotions help our lives?
Oh, affect them, help them. I don't know. You tell me.
All the silence. It's really not silent because he's talking things out, but I'm not going to repeat them because it's just like, when you look at a kaleidoscope and
Uh
all
huh.
the colors are turning and you're just like calling out, oh, look at that red, look at that blue, look at that green, look at the white, and it's moving, and you're like, I don't see which color you're talking about. But that's what Eric's doing today. He's not as simple minded and direct as he normally is.
Okay. He uses ADD medicine.
He said no. Um, Fear based emotions.
Yeah.
He says you have to look at why you're defining it as fear. Is it a physical fear, a mental fear, a phobia, uh, an emotional fear? Because some of these traits that we have as human beings, when you're physically afraid of something, that's actually coming from a cellular reaction
Hmm.
from your ancestral lineage. Like, there might be a
Okay.
reason that you're afraid of the snake and the spider because, you know, way back when we weren't afraid of them, we didn't realize they could kill us, and then now we know that they can kill us. We, our hair stood on end. It was like a defense mechanism. We knew to stay away, back off.
Hmm.
Okay, so we can look at that fear. Let's say if you're, he's going, I don't know, like, afraid of death, and he starts laughing. He goes, that's stupid. No need to be afraid of death. If you're afraid of suffering, let's say, like, you're afraid of getting cancer and suffering, and you think you might get cancer because cancer's running in your family, so you're focused on it, and he says it's just not doing you good at all. He says that's like a mental fear. It's not really a phobia because there is a possibility of it happening to you because it's been in your family lineage. How can it help you? Well, that fear of having the cancer can actually get you to the doctor more often. It can trigger you to run some different tests, to look at your body, to look at your health, to see if you have the cancer, and if you do, detect the cancer early and save your life. That's helpful.
Hmm.
He goes, but mostly people take the emotion fear in whatever form it's coming in, and they allow it to paralyze them, shut them
Hmm.
down, freeze them up, lock them down. And he's just saying different words. And he says that's no good because how can you participate in your life if you're completely trapped by this one fear that you probably just created yourself? I don't know. He stopped talking.
Okay. So to conquer, did you already cover that? How you conquer it?
He says, we've talked about this several times. And he says, I always tell people if they're afraid of something, it's because there's not enough light on it, and to step closer to it. To see if you can get more information, if you can see it clearly, if you can define it better for yourself. And he says, when I'm talking define, I don't just mean words logically. I mean through an experience, emotionally, so forth. He said, it's amazing. Fear gets bigger when you walk away from it. If you walk closer to it, it goes away.
That makes sense.
He said, so I always try to tell people to get closer to it. That's how you conquer it.
All right, so let's use the example of snakes. If you're afraid of snakes, you don't want to get too close.
He asked me, he goes, are you afraid of snakes? I was like, no.
Well, me neither.
I think he was going to show me images. I can't tell if he was about to be nice or really kind of pull a prank on me.
I know. Well, you never know about that boy.
All right, so afraid of snakes, how do you conquer it?
Yes.
Oh, he is showing me pictures. He said first I would learn about snake behavior and which snakes are dangerous, deadly, and which aren't. I would learn how they react, how they live in their environment, and then I would go and talk to someone who handles snakes, and I would be around the snake. And commonly through the information and seeing the beauty of how that snake lives its life, the respect that you gain for the creature diminishes the fear that you have for them. It turns into a respect and not a fear.
I was just thinking the same thing a while ago. Yeah. Learn to respect, which is a form of love. So you can love the snake. Everybody go hug a snake
It's Hug a
today.
Snake Day.
Yay! All right, well, that's very illuminating. All right, next question. Oh, I already asked that one. Okay, here we go. Does ego have a purpose?
Does what have a purpose?
Ego?
Oh, ego. I thought you said eagle.
Evil. No. Ego. Lego my ego. No, ego. Let's confuse
Egos?
our audience.
Egos have a purpose for breakfast. Okay,
Yes,
egos.
honey.
Sit down, Eric. Okay. Or stand still, whatever. I didn't sit on the couch today because I didn't want him to start messing with the computer.
Good
Okay.
call.
Ego has a place. He said, we cannot live without ego. This whole talk of diminishing ego and not having ego, he says that's bullshit. You can't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without peanut butter, because it would be a jelly sandwich. And he said, and that makes no sense to me. Okay, so you can't have yourself without the ego. And he said, all ego does is it's part of the recipe that lets you feel, I don't understand that, confidence in your independence. The ego lets you feel like you're independent.
It creates separation from the whole. I've heard you say that.
That's what he was just talking about. And he said you have to have a small dose of that, because when you're trapped in the human body, the way that we tend to learn is by knowing what we're not so we can understand what we are. You know, he says that that whole duality that we spiritually get to escape from, you have to crawl through that shit when you're in your human life. And the ego part of it is necessary for you to understand what unity is. And he goes, and to get rid of it is bullshit. He goes, you don't need to live in it constantly. He goes, that's no good.
Well, I guess also you have to be separate in order to play roles against and with each other to learn things. Like you have to be separate, and so that you can say, "Hey, I want to learn about forgiveness. Can you betray me?" So you have to have two. In that case, two separate. You have to be separated from the other person.
Yeppa yeppa. He goes, we should have it now where it's ask mom.
Oh yeah, right.
He said,
I'm
why
really
not?
hungry for a peanut. I'm really hungry now. Talking all about these peanut butter sandwiches and Eggos, man.
He said it is breakfast time. He goes, for those of you who don't know, we wake up early and do this shit.
Tell me about it. Jamie doesn't let me get past 1 cup of coffee.
Nope. Spontaneity.
Yes.
He's not sharing anything more about the ego.
Well, why does it sometimes get out of control? I mean, what's the difference between the, I won't say negative,
Hmm.
but the ego uh, gaining gaining control of you?
The ego gaining control of you. He says it shows up when it gets triggered. So, strange visual. Giving me the image of driving a boat in the ocean. And there's times when you're in the ocean and you don't see any wildlife, no fish, nothing. And then you come across a school of fish. And he says you react to it differently. He's calling the school of fish kind of like the moments of being triggered where your ego pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is like kind of a cruising where there is no animals or anything that you have to pay attention to. I have no idea why he came up with that kind of image. He doesn't give any backstory to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Erik needs coffee today.
I think he does.
He goes, talk to me about simple shit, and I don't mind,
Oh,
mind sharing
sorry.
it.
We'll dumb it down for you. All right. Well, what's the importance of forgiveness, and how do we forgive?
He's like, God, seriously, Mom, what is this, therapy day?
Yes. Why, you need some?
Nope. Nope. It was funny the way he said it. Okay, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness, okay, that was loud. Forgiveness, first of all, is not forgetting. We're not talking about you knowing how to forget shit. Because we're just talking about you being emotionally calm with whatever it is. It's saying that I recognize it. I am not holding or tying strings to your ass because of the shit you just did to me, and I'm totally cutting you free. And it's neutral ground from here on. It doesn't trigger me. I don't know what it does about you. That's your own responsibility. But for me, I've now been able to let it go. Does not emotionally trigger me anymore. It does not mean that you absolutely never remember it again. That's called amnesia. He just got
Thanks.
really close behind the camera. He goes, that's called amnesia, people. Oh, goodness. And he says, how do you do it? I don't know, Mom. People learn things different all the time. He said, this is the hard shit where you try to give directions. You can't give directions to the masses. You give directions one-on-one.
So it's different for each individual.
Yes, he goes, I will let people know that forgiveness is an emotional thing. It's not a logical thing. Like you mentioned before, we are emotional people. I'm not going to do that. He's doing some funny accent. Get it together. So in forgiving, what are you just talking about? Did you switch gears? Erik, you have to start over. That didn't make sense. No. For the person who's really having a hard time forgiving, like they've gotten the therapy. He said, what you need to learn is that you don't need to have the other party present in front of you to make forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is really kind of a one-person job. It's not a two-person job. It's a one-person job. You are totally in control of your own reactions, your own doing, your own triggers, everything. Okay, so when you find that person who is in therapy for 5, 10, 15 years, and they're saying, I've always tried to forgive my parents, but, they've been dead for 20 years, and I can't make a resolution with them. Because they're understanding the concept of forgiveness. They're misunderstanding it. Go back to it for a second, Erik. They're misunderstanding the concept of forgiveness. They don't even need to be in spirit for you to make this resolution. He says we're talking about forgiveness, not problem solving. Okay, you don't have to hear the words, I am sorry and I forgive you, for you to feel contentment in your forgiveness. There are energetic techniques that can help you with your forgiveness. And this is what he had jumped to a minute ago, where I was just I didn't know where he was coming from. I asked him to back up because he was showing me healing techniques, that kind of hands-on manipulative energy techniques, where someone is coming in, where you have a healer or a therapist who's coming into your energetic field, your energetic body, and is helping you cut these energetic ties, connections, threads that you have with whomever or whatever the circumstances that needs to be forgiven, and is energetically cutting them, which is helping you kind of separate or peel, kind of like peel the skin off an orange is what he's showing me, so that you can get to the center of it and that you yourself can create the forgiveness. Forgiveness will come with the understanding is done for yourself and by yourself. You can have assistance with it with therapy, which helps you mentally understand that you're in control of your own forgiveness. And you can have assistance where it's done energetically, where they can help you remove these energetic patterns that you carry with you that trigger you to believe that you don't have the power to forgive. These can be trimmed up and cut away. And then it sets your kind of emotional body free to where it can create the forgiveness. That came with a lot of visuals, so I don't know, Elisa, when you were listening, did that make sense?
Well, I wasn't listening. No, I'm kidding. No, it did. So we're talking about energy healers like Reiki healers and EFT, emotional.
Yes.
The tapping. All right. Well, why are some people triggered by things so that they have to forgive and other people are not? Let's say somebody punched you in the face in middle school and embarrassed you in front of all the peers. Some people would just be so upset and they would have this need to forgive, and others would just walk away and say, all right, whatever. So why are some people triggered and into the need to forgive?
Triggered into the need to forgive. He said it's just the way that you've learned as a child. It's the way that you came in. It's the kind of contracts that you signed. He goes, that's the uniqueness of being human. That's what sets us apart from each other, is we're all designed so differently. You meet some leaders like Gandhi. Man, he could take a beating and then just absolutely love you unconditionally for it.
How do you do that?
This is how he learned. This is what he was attracted to. This is what he went for. And there's some people, as soon as you graze their skin, they're ready to swing around and punch you squarely.
Yeah.
And he goes, if we want to say we want to be somewhere, like if you want to be like Gandhi, that's great. But us sitting here asking the questions and teaching people how to be that way, that's not fair, man. Because that's placing judgment and saying that this behavior is better than the other behavior. And if you're the other way, that ain't good. That ain't good. This ain't good. That's what he said. This ain't good. And that you need to change who you are to be this way. And he goes, we're not here to place judgment on people. He's quiet.
People really have trouble with that, wrapping their heads around the fact that there's no right and there's no wrong. There's no negative, there's no positive.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most difficult things for us humans to do, and that takes letting go. And letting go is probably the most difficult thing for most people.
Yeah, yeah. He says we take such solace in knowing that if something bad has happened, that
Uh-oh, is
something,
he interfering? Because I don't hear you now, and I hear squealing. Erik, are you interfering? Now it's okay.
which is weird because the chimes just started going off.
Erik?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Was that Erik?
He is standing pretty close to the computer, so I asked him to back up.
Okay.
He was talking that if something bad happens, people like to hold on to the solace of knowing that something good will follow, like there will be a punishment for that person. But he said still that's judgment, because we really need to take the role of teaching rather than placing good and bad labels on shit.
Teaching who? Ourselves or others?
Teaching ourselves and teaching others.
Okay.
I asked him, what are we teaching? He asked me if I'd been asleep this whole conversation. I told him yeah. He says we want to teach people how to follow their intuitive guide, their heart. He goes, we're not going to teach them to be good people or bad people. We want to teach them to be emotionally honest. And through that, they'll find their own set of morals, their own set of integrities. We're all going to be different. We don't all want to be the fucking same. How freaking horrible would that be? I don't know if a clone acts like that, Erik, but sure, whatever. He's kind of acting like a robot. I am one of 10 million. We are all the same. Like, he's being silly. He's like, we don't want to be like that. So we got to love people for their differences. This is what makes it so much fun to be here.
Let people be who they are. I think that's a really important lesson, too.
Because we cannot forget how much fun this fucking shit is. It's so awesome to be here. He's blowing kisses to you.
Well, that's perfect, because that's an awesome place to end off. All right, guys. Everybody, go to Jamie's website, withloveandlight.com. There's no WW in front of there, guys. And you can go check out my site, or Erik's site, really, www.channelingericwithak.com.
Yes.
And also, take a look at my book, My Son and the Afterlife, Conversations from the Other Side, because Erik and his usual sailor talk will give you a ride for your money.
This is true. This is true. Erik saying bye to everybody, and thanks for wanting to tune in and be here.
Thank you, Jamie. I love you, Erik.
You are so welcome. He says, I love you, Mom. Bye. He says, I love you, everyone. He's waving his hands. Bye, guys. Thanks for letting me do this.